In July of 2024, I appeared on the game show Jeopardy, fulfilling the kind of lifelong dream you'd expect the son of two librarians to have. All things considered, it went very well. I won 9 games before losing my 10th game on a tragic math error. Well, tragic for me. I think Jay liked it. One of the most common questions I got after appearing on Jeopardy, other than why did they let you dress like that, was how do you prepare for Jeopardy? Jeopardy has been around for over 40 years, but one surprising thing to me is that there are a lot of people out there who seem to believe that Jeopardy will give you some kind of study guide for what will appear when you're on it. This is not true, which is fortunate for me because I hate studying. Until you step foot on the Alex Trebek stage, you have no idea what you're going to be asked about. Think of all those famous viral videos where contestants struggle to identify basic things about rap music or sports. If they gave us a study guide ahead of time, don't you think somebody would be able to identify who the Dallas Cowboys are? So this raises a question. How are you supposed to prepare for Jeopardy? I decided to make this video as a sort of guide for what I did. Keep in mind that I'm not an all-time great of the show, so take what I say with a grain of salt. With that in mind, I proudly present the definitive guide on how to win up to, but no more than, 9 games on Jeopardy. Presumably, if you're interested in appearing on Jeopardy in the first place, you're at least a little interested in learning things and you know some stuff already. Although if you're not interested in learning things and you know nothing and you still want to appear on Jeopardy, I respect the hustle. It can be intimidating because Jeopardy can ask about literally anything. While Jeopardy can theoretically ask about everything, it can't literally ask about everything. There are certain things Jeopardy simply won't ask about because they're too obscure to reasonably expect contestants to know. For example, Jeopardy basically never asks about one of my favorite authors, the British spy novelist Eric Ambler, because not many people read his books nowadays and he's just not considered that important. So there's really only a limited number of things that Jeopardy will expect people to know and therefore ask about, and that limited number of things we'll call the canon, with one N, not like a weapon. There's no definitive guide as to what's in the canon, but the more you watch Jeopardy, the more you get a general sense for what it is. There are certain things that come up so often that you must know them as a prerequisite for appearing on the show. World capitals, Shakespeare's plays, the presidents and where they're from, etc. One way to figure out what Jeopardy will ask about is to look at what they've asked about in the past. There's a wonderful website, j-archive.com, that has basically every game of Jeopardy that has ever been played. If you want to know whether Jeopardy will ask about a thing, let history be your guide. It's worth mentioning that the people who currently make Jeopardy have stated that they don't want people to be able to prepare just by memorizing J-Archive, and thus they continue to include more wordplay and vocabulary categories, things that are harder to study for via rote memorization. Some of the most dreaded Jeopardy categories actually have the smallest canon. Think of opera. Have you ever seen an opera? I haven't. I'm a complete Philistine. But the number of important operas and opera composers Jeopardy can actually ask about is pretty small. It's under 100 in my estimation. And once you start to figure out what those operas are, you start to be able to tell your Madame Butterflies from your Carmens from your Il Scagliatis, which isn't an opera but some gibberish I just made up. One thing that separates Jeopardy from other trivia game shows is that there's a general tilt in the question writing towards things that are academically important. This means that you could learn a lot of what Jeopardy asked about if you'd just been paying attention in school the whole time. Unfortunately for me, I was too busy drawing comics where Captain Falcon and Kirby were best friends, so I had to come by this knowledge some other way. That other way was Quiz Bowl. Quiz Bowl has often inadequately been described as Jeopardy, but with teams and longer questions, and sports for competitive children who can't run good. There's a considerable overlap between what Jeopardy will ask about and what Quiz Bowl asks about, and years of playing Quiz Bowl have stuck in my mind lots of facts that were very useful for Jeopardy. Finally, there's the matter of effectively learning things you didn't already know. Intellectual curiosity is only going to get you so far. Eventually, you're going to have to learn things you don't find particularly interesting, and for that, a lot of people turn to flashcards, especially apps like Anki. Jeopardy Master Season 2 champion Victoria Gould has said that she has over 200,000 flashcards in Anki, which is wild. I don't know 200,000 things total. I did make a little over 1,000 flashcards in Anki in preparation for the Tournament of Champions on things I didn't already know. So did it work? Well, it got me a couple questions, including a crucial daily double on the alphabetically first of the 7 hills of Rome. Thank God I had this flashcard.
Hills I don't want to die on. Alphabetically first of the fabled 7 hills of Rome, it boasts the Basilica of Santa Sabina, which dates to the 5th century.
What is the Aventine?
Aventine is correct, yes. You had $6,000. Well done.
But there were also a number of times I saw a question and thought, oh, I have a flashcard on this, and that was about as far as my brain got. So they're not perfect, but they will help you eventually remember things that you don't know and aren't particularly interested in. As the ancient philosopher G.I. Joe once said, knowing is half the battle. The other half of the battle is the buzzer. In your average Jeopardy game, all 3 contestants are going to know around a third of the questions. So whoever is fastest on the buzzer is going to get those questions, regardless of who knows more about a subject. This means that being fast on the buzzer is just as important as knowing a lot of things. For a brief explainer on how Jeopardy's buzzers work, contestants can't ring in during a clue. When Jeopardy was rebooted in 1984, contestants could ring in whenever they felt like it, which led to chaotic gameplay and a not particularly fun viewing experience. In 1985, the current rules were introduced, where contestants have to wait for the host to finish reading the clue before they can buzz in. This rule change surprised the hell out of my father when he showed up to tape his episode in early 1985. The giant game board in front of contestants has 2 vertical white lights on either side of it that light up when the buzzers are cleared and contestants are able to ring in. Generally, this happens precisely as Ken finishes his last word, so contestants are theoretically able to time this and anticipate when to buzz in. Not me though, I just use the lights. I surveyed everyone else in the Tournament of Champions, and apparently I was the only person who just used the lights. Everyone else went off of sound. So maybe you should do that. Either way you choose to do it, timing is crucial. I attributed my decent buzzer skills to years of playing video games, and other contestants have said similar things. You can try practicing at home by watching along with a clicky pen, or by playing rhythm games like Guitar Hero. The principle is the same. I'm aware I'm showing how old I am by using Guitar Hero as an example. Some people have said that you should buy a buzzer to practice with at home. Because I was worried about embarrassing myself in the Tournament of Champions, I am ashamed to admit that I did this. Here is my buzzer. I do not think it is any better than a clicky pen or video games, and it's kind of expensive. However, if you want to buy one, it is reasonably close to the buzzers used on the show, though not exactly the same. This one's from Delcom. There are varying schools of thought on how to hold the buzzer. I've seen contestants use 1 hand, 2 hands, gripping onto it for dear life. I've heard of a contestant who just left the buzzer in the holster on the podium because his hands were shaking too bad to actually hold it. Ultimately, I don't think it matters that much. Do whatever is most comfortable for you and will allow you to press the button as quickly as possible. The button is pretty sensitive, and you do not need to press it hard. 1 finger or thumb will do. So practice the buzzer, but also be prepared to not get in. At some point in your show, you're going to know some things, buzz in, and not be the first person in. This is extremely disappointing. Every time it happened to me on the show, I looked like I had received a mild electric shock. So be prepared for the disappointment, but also be prepared to move on quickly from it. I really want to emphasize this. At some point, something bad is going to happen, and you're not going to have time to sit and mentally process it. They are already reading the next clue. Be ready. It is fair to say that I'm close to the last guy you should listen to when it comes to wagering strategy. I blundered hard on wagering in the game that I lost, both miscalculating my wager mathematically and even still wagering way too large an amount. In preparation for the Tournament of Champions, I studied wagering strategy much more intensely, and then immediately came out and wagered an incorrect amount in Final Jeopardy again. Ken Jennings after the game asked me if I had meant to wager that amount, which is his nice way of saying, you really have no idea what you're doing, huh? So believe me when I say, wagering is hard. Let's talk about daily doubles first. Over the past decade, Jeopardy contestants have gotten hip to the idea that daily doubles are inherently much more valuable than any of the other questions. This explains the herky-jerky nature of Jeopardy now, as contestants jump around the board hunting for daily doubles, infuriating your grandmother at home. Unfortunately for Grandma, you should also do this. Keep in mind that even if you get a daily double in a category you don't like, you're denying your other 2 competitors a chance to get it. As we've already established, I am not a strategic genius, so my general strategy was dumbed down to a level where even I couldn't screw it up too bad. I would start from the 3rd clue in the category I liked the most, work my way down the category, and then select the 3rd clue in the category I liked the 2nd most. Repeat until all those clues are gone. And if there are still daily doubles out there, go through all the second row clues. Daily doubles are basically never in the first row. One mistake I'll see even good Jeopardy players make is they'll only hunt for daily doubles in categories they're comfortable with. Once the high-value clues are gone in those categories, they'll start to select low-value clues in those categories rather than hunt for daily doubles in the other categories. You want to find the daily double even if it's in a category you don't like, because you're denying your opponents the chance to get it. You don't have to wager much. The minimum bet is $5, symbolically chosen because it's what contestants could buy a house for in 1984. As to what you should wager on daily doubles, it's way too situational for me to be able to give you any real guide. I will say that I think the internet is obsessed with James Holzhauer-style aggressive wagering on daily doubles to a degree that I don't think is helpful for your average Jeopardy player. If you're 90% accurate on daily doubles, go nuts, wager everything every time. But most of us are closer to 50% accurate on daily doubles, and going all in constantly is not a winning proposition. It's also just not that necessary for most Jeopardy players. Be smart. Consider the score, how close you are to first, if it's close to being a runaway game, etc. But for regular Jeopardy play, constantly spamming the all-in button is just not necessary. If you are interested in doing a true daily double, you definitely want to do it in single Jeopardy, because it's way easier to come back from a failed true daily double in the first round. Finally, there's my nemesis, Final Jeopardy wagering. They make you do math on television. It's a horrible deal. Some are calling it the worst deal. But there are things you can do to prepare. First of all, do math on paper. One thing that ended up kind of being an issue for me is that it had been over a decade since I had done subtraction on paper, and I just kind of forgot how to do it. So practice that. Wagering from first place in Final Jeopardy is actually the easiest because it generally follows the axiom that it's better to lose by getting final wrong than it is to lose by getting final right. That way you control your own destiny. Mathematically, this means your wager should be second place's score times 2 plus 1 minus your score. This is what's known as a cover bet. Even easier is if you already have more than double what second place has. Congratulations, you've already won the game. Try not to mess that up. Wagering in Final Jeopardy from second place is where things get difficult. 99% of the time, first place is going to make the standard cover bet, meaning the only way you can win is if first place gets final wrong. This is a really important principle to keep in mind. It means that going all in, or nearly going all in, is rarely a good move unless first has almost double what you do. There's a lot of math involved based on what proportion of first place's score you have, and we're not going to go into that right now. But I want to assure you that I definitely know and understand all of it, and the only reason we're not covering it is time constraints. It's actually easy for me, and I definitely understand it now. As for wagering from third place, don't be in third place. I'll link to some more comprehensive guides on wagering in the description below. I wasn't sure where else to put this, but you should probably practice quickly reading and understanding Jeopardy questions. It's an advantage to immediately figure out what a question is asking for, so you can spend the rest of the time remembering the answer and focusing on buzzing in. Typically, questions will use words like this or these to point you to what they're asking for, so look at lots of questions and practice quickly parsing them. There is the matter of actually being selected to appear on the show. This is no easy thing to do, not least because there's a huge element of randomness to it. Jeopardy allows you to take their online test, aptly named the Anytime Test, at any time. There's some mystery qualifying score that will pass the test for you. Nobody is sure of what that score is, but whatever it is, it must be higher than what Emma Stone keeps getting. If you pass the test, you can be randomly selected for the next round of auditions. I want to stress this, you can nail the online test and not go through to the next round. They only take a small percentage of qualifying people through, and it's random, so don't be discouraged if you have to take the test multiple times. I did. My appearance on the show was a result of an increasingly rare in-person audition. I think most of these are done over Zoom now, and the next step is an audition where they do a more proctored online test with you, just to make sure you didn't blatantly cheat on the first one. If you pass the mystery qualifying threshold on that test, you can be selected for the final audition, where they simulate gameplay with you and do a brief interview. The purpose of this final audition is not to see if you're the greatest Jeopardy player who's ever lived. It is to make sure that you won't look like a psycho on television. I did a couple of auditions and I saw a number of people, Okay, let's be honest, they were all men, come in trying to prove they were the smartest guy in the room. This audition is not for that. You have already passed both tests, so they know you're reasonably smart. Just seem friendly and approachable, and that will go a long way. Do not try to crush your opponents in the simulated game. For one thing, the people running the audition choose who wins on the buzzer, so you can't crush your opponents. Assuming you're selected to appear on the show, you'll go to the studio and tape. If you can, try and get a good night's sleep the night before. Just know that when your time comes, the taping will literally fly by and it will be over before you know it, so try and enjoy it. You're on Jeopardy! That's pretty fucking cool. If you win, be ready to play again almost immediately. They tape 5 episodes of Jeopardy in a day, and the mental strain of that much Jeopardy is something you should also prepare for. Watch multiple episodes in a row, or play multiple games of J-Archive in a row. Be sure to change your shirt in between games for the full experience. This barely scratches the surface of how to prepare for Jeopardy, because the boring answer is to just be an intellectually curious information sponge that retains just a little about everything. There are a lot of great resources that I haven't mentioned, which I'll include in the description below. Also, I guess I should tell you to like this video and subscribe in case I ever decide to do this again. More than anything, I encourage you to take the Anytime test if you're the least bit interested. It was a great experience for me. I met some wonderful people, played some fun games, and most importantly made more money than I will make in a year for the rest of my life. With this guide, I hope you go out and win a bunch of games. Maybe even 9, but not 10. Nobody likes a show off.